Hi, how are you guys doing? My name's Luana Fain, and I will be doing a Q&A with Alan Hillsberg from Funeral Marketing Services. So we're going to talk a little bit about his business. We're going to talk a little bit about marketing and also 5 stars reviews. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Well, thank you for agreeing to do this Q&A. We get you kind of to step a little bit out. Let's talk a little bit about who you are.
Well, I'm Alan Hillsberg, and I have a digital marketing company that focuses on working with the death care industry.
Okay.
We specifically work with funeral homes, hospice organizations, and monument companies, helping them generate more visibility for themselves, as well as generating more business for the death care industry.
Why did you pick the funeral industry out of every other industry to market with, as far as marketing goes?
Well, most marketing companies call on dentists, they call on doctors, they call on attorneys. I did not want to be a marketing company that specializes in those types of businesses where everybody calls on. I decided on funeral homes because they also need visibility.
Mm-hmm.
They also need to generate business per month.
Okay.
And I know that it's not a niche that most people call upon.
And let's talk a little bit about how the difference between marketing for a funeral company compared to anybody else out in the industry, whether you're talking about a beauty salon or even a clothing store.
Well, it's certainly not a one-size-fits-all approach. You need to have a specialized knowledge
Okay.
to really be able to help your customers. Years ago, maybe a decade ago, I worked with a restaurant,
Okay.
and I was doing very, very well for them.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing business on a Tuesday afternoon. They were very happy with the services I was providing for them. The attorney for that restaurant came to me and asked me if I could help his law practice.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I took him on as a client. And the results were mixed at best, because what I
Okay.
did was I've taken the restaurant strategies and I pretty much used those same strategies and applied them to the attorney. And it did work. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. You need to have a specialized knowledge. Otherwise, what will happen as a marketing company, you'll start guessing while charging your client
Uh-huh.
as to what the best strategy is to use.
And that could definitely be something very negative for you as a business owner, that you're paying all this money for marketing and you don't get results. What makes you an expert at marketing compared to some of these larger companies?
Well, I think the main indicator that a marketing company needs to follow is retention rate.
Okay.
We have a very, very high retention rate. The clients that we service stay with us. We don't have any contracts with our clients. We go month to month, and we have clients now for years.
How does that work? Because I know just in the social media industry and in any industry, usually you do a 6-month, 3-month, 6-month, and 9-month contract. You don't have any contracts with any of your clients and they stay on?
Yes, that's. and
Okay.
the reason I do it that way, and I think it's a more honest way of doing business, is that if my customers don't want to work with me, I don't want them to have to be
Okay.
locked into a contract with me. I
Okay.
will let them go.
Okay.
From a perfectly selfish perspective, if I want 100 clients, which I am working at, and each client is paying me $1,000 a month, that's $100,000 a month. Now, I have costs against that, but I'm still living large. I'm still doing very, very well for myself. However, if I go month to month, and these clients are not seeing a good return on their investment for $1,000 a month. If they're not making $10,000 for the $1,000 they're giving me, they're not going to stay.
Yeah.
So I better be darn sure that I am providing them with a great service, that they're making much more than what they're paying me. If they're doing that, they're going to continue to pay. Their success is my success. I put myself in the same boat they are. We're both rowing in the same direction.
That's great. I know one of the things is you have a lot of different programs and you have expertise. And one of the big things that we're going to be jumping into is the 5-star review. And having an updated 5-star review, and how reviews can either be a benefit or they can be a disadvantage for your company, not only in the funeral industry, but also just in businesses in general. So let's talk a little bit about what you've discovered and how you became an expert when it comes down to 5-star reviews on Google.
Well, it's true. People, if you think about it, customers do not read reviews unless they're ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Why else would somebody read a review?
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to purchase something. When I go to Amazon, I check the reviews before I decide whether I'm going to buy.
Groupon is another one.
Exactly, right. And people, that's the only way they can have a good feel for the company is to see what others are talking about. Have they had a good experience? Have they been treated professionally? Did they get what they want? Are they satisfied with the product or services that business provides? So reviews are very, very important.
Now, what is the difference when you're talking about a Google review, a Yelp review, a Facebook review? I mean, there's so many other sites where you can review. Is there a difference between them? Is there one that's better than the other?
Well, all of them are important. You
Okay.
want good reviews across all platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But in my experience, Google is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. You want your reviews up on Google because if you think about it, where do people search for products?
Absolutely.
People go to Google to find and search products that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they're going to first come across your reviews. So Google is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. You've got Yelp, and Bing a distant second, but just as important.
So is there a difference between Facebook and Google, or do they all kind of connect once you log on to Google? Like, are you able to see the Facebook reviews?
Well, yes. I feel that Google is a search engine. People are searching on Google, so you do want your reviews on that platform. Google has a Google My Business page that's set up for local businesses, and they do show Facebook reviews as well.
Awesome. So, okay, when we're talking about reviews, there's something considered a good review and a bad review. Now, let's say you're a local business owner, maybe even a funeral home, and you get this horrible review. All you're getting is ones. How do you get away from that? And how do you fix that? Because that can be detrimental to your company.
Absolutely, and it's surprisingly, but many businesses do not follow the reviews that they're getting online, and that is a mistake. Reviews are extremely important, and when you've got 1-star reviews, it may not define your company, but the customer that's reading these reviews don't see that. They just see these bad reviews, and they probably will walk away from your business or do business with another company.
Now, what can you do to stop these bad reviews?
Well, you should have a strategy in place to get good reviews. We have a strategy in-house, and I'll be more than happy to show. You don't need to be a funeral home or work in the death care industry to put something together, and I'll be more than happy to show people what we do on a consistent basis to get good reviews from the customers that we serve, or get good reviews from the customers that my clients serve.
So make sure you guys stay tuned till the end, and we're going to actually give you the website and contact information as far as how to find out what Alan is doing in order for that strategy, because I think that's extremely important. I think a lot of businesses, I know we were talking about this previously, is that when you're pissed off or you're mad at a business or they irritate you, like I used the example in New York, a lot of you guys know you can get your hair done for $10, $15, $20. They wanted to charge me more money. So guess what? I made sure I went to Yelp and I wrote a nasty review because my hair was curly. They decided they're going to charge me $10 more. Now I went to another place and guess what? I didn't write a good review even though I was satisfied with my hair. It was those that piss, when they piss you off, you're like, okay, I'm about to go in. How do we stop that? Because I think that our human instinct is to automatically write the bad instead of writing the good.
Well, that's correct. And what happens is when somebody's upset, there are not very many viable choices. They can sue that business, which is not.
Who wants to do that?
It's not a viable choice.
I'm
It's
not
too
suing
expensive.
for a $20 hairstyle. but-
However, they can go on and leave a bad review. And in many cases, sometimes, and I would say more often than not, they leave an untruthful review. They make it worse than it really is. But then again, a customer reading that review doesn't know that it's untruthful. They just take for what they read, and they make a determination on that company based upon the reviews that they read. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do. Number one, every owner should answer every review they get. It's easy to do, whether it be a
Okay.
good review, thank them for that good review. If it's a bad review, show your concern, show that you care. Have that person contact you. Take the high road. Answer the review in a very diplomatic manner, and make sure that what you're doing is you're showing future customers that you care about your business, and that neutralizes the review, because you'll always have one bad apple. Especially if you have a number of good reviews, you may have one that's bad. But if you answer that review, usually that review will be discounted. The other thing that you can do is that if you have a systematic means of getting reviews, the good reviews will always show up on top, and it will push down the bad reviews. So
So you
eventually,
should you ever delete these bad reviews?
you can't.
Oh, so that's something to know, because I don't think I think some businesses try to go into their Facebook or whatever and,
Well, you have some control with Facebook, but on Google,
You
you
can't.
cannot, or Yelp, you
Okay.
cannot delete a review. You can go and see if you can challenge a review, but it's difficult.
Okay, so most importantly is that you want to give the best service that you can, and being able to encourage your clients to actually write that good review.
Right. You should have a systematic method in which you can get good reviews from the clients that you serve.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about funeral marketing services. We dove into about the reviews, and we know that that is something that you offer, and that you sit down with your clients and you help them get those 5-star reviews. What are some other programs that you bring to light and some success stories? And I see that, there's a few individuals back here on the backdrop on different funeral homes that you've worked with and that you've helped them get those at need calls.
Yes. Well, the death care industry in general is an industry that people do not want to think about.
Okay.
Healthy families never want to think about death. They
Okay.
just want to live their lives.
Okay.
That's why funeral pre-planning is so hard to sell. People just don't want to think about it, and it's natural. However, on the flip side of that, it's not uncommon for somebody to pass suddenly in the home. It happens all the time. And in that state of deep grief and confusion, when a family is not referred to a funeral home, what they'll do is reach into their pocket for their cell phone, and the first keyword phrase that comes to mind is funeral homes. They'll key that into their phone. Google will pick up the IP address of that phone and provide them with relevant funeral homes in the area. Now, because people don't think, what they do is they don't know one funeral home from another. It becomes a level playing field. So what families do is rely heavily on the reviews that they read from past families before them. And if the reviews are good, consistent, the propensity of that funeral home getting that call is greatly increased over a funeral home that has bad reviews, no reviews, or dated reviews.
Okay. So with that, how do you engage when it comes on to pre-planning? Those that don't know what is pre-planning, let's talk about that first. What is pre-planning? Because not everybody understands what that word means unless you're in the funeral industry.
Pre-planning is exactly that. You're pre-planning your funeral. There's a saying in this industry, anytime's a good time to plan a funeral, except the day of the funeral. Yet that's when people first
Because
make
nobody
plans.
wants to think about that.
Right, but now, you've got a family that's in a state of deep grief, and they've got to make financial decisions. They've got to make decisions on the disposition of the body. There's a lot of things that they have to think about on the day of the funeral. And when you think about it, when you plan a wedding, people plan it for 2 years. Now, I know that's a happy situation, but funeral pre-planning is, in my opinion, one of the greatest gifts you can provide for your family. It's not going to take the grief away, but what's going to happen is that everything will be laid out. And it's
So
one
that
less
they can
thing.
deal with actually grieving that person instead of worrying about, okay, how much is this going to cost? We have to set this up. We have to set that up. Now, you are actually working with different funeral homes all throughout, I'm not even going to say New York, all over, to do pre-planning events to educate individuals, correct?
That's correct. We put together, we're experts at filling up a venue so that my clients can now go ahead and provide a lunch and learn or pizza and pre-planned event and educate the consumer in their particular demographic on the wonderful benefits of funeral pre-planning.
And I think that's important. I mean, it's better to be informed than at the end to not know. The more information, they say that if you stop learning, you might as well die, because at the end of the day, you have to continue to learn. So when we're talking about pre-planning, I think it's important for everybody to know what your options are. And I know that there's several options with being a veteran or other ways. Can we talk a little bit about that?
About the
benefits
of funeral
Yeah.
pre-planning? Well, as I said before, pre-planning a funeral
with
eliminates-
with being a veteran.
Yeah, well, veterans have every veteran knows that they have funeral death benefits available for themselves and their spouse.
Okay.
They're honorably discharged.
Okay.
But not every every veteran knows the benefits available to them. So in a pre-planned environment, they can be shown exactly what benefits are available for them and their spouse in the case of somebody passing.
And you have a few of these events coming up. Where are they located at?
Oh, they're all over the country.
Okay. So if they want to know a little bit more, I know that there's one if you're in Staten Island that will be coming up on the 18th, correct?
Right.
Okay. So definitely you want to make sure you check out Funeral Marketing Services on Facebook. Also, tell them the website.
Our website is funeralmarketingservices.com, and our direct number is 516-812-9326. But you can get all the contact information on the website as well.
Now you offer a very special service to individuals, to funeral homes for 30 days where they get to try some of the programs?
Yeah, we do. We have a program where we'll go ahead and rank a funeral home at no charge in an area where they have no visibility or low visibility.
Okay.
For them to test drive our services, for them to determine whether we're the real deal or not, so that when and if they're ready to hire a marketing company, they'll consider us as a viable choice. And I think that's really important because they don't know me, I don't know them, and it's a great way to start building a relationship by giving some of the services away. so that they could see who we really are.
Absolutely. One of the last topics that I want to talk about with funeral homes, how important is it for them to have visibility on social media and online? Because I think when you think of funeral homes, I know with me anyways, when I think of funeral homes, I thought about the fan at the church and you would have the funeral home on the back. But that's the only type of advertisement I ever seen when it came down to a funeral home. You don't see as much viability in their social media presence or online with their website.
Yeah, what I see is that by default, Google will rank a funeral home in the area in which they have a physical location.
Mm-hmm.
So, example, we're in Lynbrook, New York.
Mm-hmm.
If I owned a funeral home here in Lynbrook, New York, and I typed in funeral homes, Lynbrook, New York,
Mm-hmm.
I will probably pop up on that particular page. However, funeral homes do not only do business with the residents in the area in which they have a physical location. They also do business with residents in surrounding towns and communities.
Okay.
That's where I see them dropping off, where the visibility is very, very low. So what we do as a company, so we have strategies and ideas that we put in place that will give them that visibility in all the areas in which they want to do business in, using all the keywords that are relevant to their business. So what I'm doing is I'm casting a wider net for them. Right now, most funeral homes what they do is they narrowcast.
Okay.
They're only in the area in which they have physical location. What I do is I increase the areas in which they want to do business in, different communities and towns surrounding their particular demographic, so that when a death call comes in, the propensity of them getting a call greatly increases.
That's great. I think this has been very valuable information that you have been able to share. This is the first time to get Alan on Facebook. You feel fine?
Thank you.
Okay. So, again, you guys want to check out Funeral Home Marketing Services. I got tongue-tied for
Funeralmarketingservices.com.
.com. So make sure you guys check them out. Also like them on Facebook and just, give it a shot. I think they need to see what you got going on, especially with the 5-star review. I think that that's extremely important to actually have a plan in place on how to get that 5-star review.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to help any business that gives us a call, show them what we do and how they can go ahead and increase the amount of positive reviews that they have online.
Okay.